Welcome to We're Smart, so you should listen to us. Today, we're going to talk about the final episode of Strange New Worlds, or as we call it, Strange New Woke. In short, Pike gets visited by his future self, tells him not to write a warning letter to the cadets he'll save in 7 years, which would be at the cost of his career. Future Pike shows past Pike his own near future with a Klingork time crystal. Instead of being burned by radiation, saving the cadets. The cadets are never on the ship. He never gets burned by the radiation. Consequently, stays in command of the Enterprise, or Enterpride, if it has a rainbow warp trail. It gets to the events of the Balance of Terror. Pike makes errors Kirk didn't make. He changes history for the worst.
So nice rainbow trail for the USS Enterprise. I think there's a bit of virtue signaling going on. What do you think?
We certainly shouldn't be doing that with Star Trek, right?
Yeah. No,
it's not needed.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, if you happen to be gay, that's fine. It's not an issue. It shouldn't be an issue in this show. That's perfectly fine. But I'm pretty sure the show is not supposed to be, promoting any one philosophy over another, let's say.
Yeah.
Unless the philosophy is IDIC, infinite diversity in infinite combinations. That's fine.
Fair call. But here's what I view, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my view is, I mean, shouldn't there be, depending on whether the ship is traveling towards us or away from us, a red shift or a blue shift?
Yeah, there should be.
Isn't that originally where these colors came from?
If you're at the speed of light, yeah. If you look at the poster for the original motion picture, TMP, sometimes called the motionless picture due to the not much action in it. Yes, they did have vertical color bands, which was, of course, the visual spectrum. When you switch white light through a prism, it separates into a visual spectrum. Clearly, what they're trying to pull here is virtue signaling.
Yeah. Anyway, there's that. We open up in the cold open with, I suppose these are supposed now. I should preface this by saying this is the first episode of this series I have watched. I have done my best to avoid it, and I have been requested by Necromancer to watch it so we can review it. And to me, this is 10 forward sized. Now, apparently, these are Pike's quarters.
A little bit ludicrous in size, yeah.
Where's Whoopi Goldberg? This should be 10 forward. This is a restaurant sized, enclosure. This is not a military vessel.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah. And the dialogue, I had to replay Pike's line 3 times to hear him say, the Romulans are the what? The boogeyman? I had to replay it 3 times to hear him. So I've heard this complaint elsewhere as well, that they're not really enunciating, they're not projecting, and it's not good acting. Make yourself heard. These people probably don't have stage experience, I'm guessing, only television experience.
I don't know. Certainly number 1 does. That's
oh yes,
Romjan.
I did notice that.
Yeah, she played Mystique in the first few X-Men movies, I think, which may have been about 20 years ago, though.
Yeah.
So
he makes dinner, I guess, for this plain Jane that he seems to be romantically involved with. It would be nice if women could start looking like women again, but I guess they have to look plain if they're in positions of power. So then we move on to discussing the neutral zone border, and they're patrolling. Yes,
I'd have to say this was a nice touch. Certainly a lot better than the map in the original series that this is taken from, TOS, which would have been, I think, 1965, Balance of Terror.
Yeah. Yes, the original map was quite plain. Course
it was season 1 early episode. It was only about the 13th episode.
Yeah.
So yeah
Yeah.
Not quite the neutral zone we've seen before on some maps, but those are gamer produced. So
Yeah. And this is not three-dimensional, of course. It's two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional border.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, I question this. Who the heck is this kid? And are we on the Enterprise? Why are the rooms so huge on a military vessel? Why is this kid allowed to just roam the ship and barge into a meeting between the upper echelon? I mean, this type of stuff right here, I think, is a result of a culture of overindulgence in children. We've created a
you're right about that.
society, yeah, where
Yeah.
both parents need to work to maintain any standard of living. This leaves the children to be raised by teachers, by caregivers, by people who aren't the parents. And when the parents do see their kids nowadays, they're so riddled with guilt that they don't spend any time with them, that they do whatever the kid wants. I can remember being a kid and being so bored out of my skull that I would go find a stick and play with it.
Exactly.
Right.
Instead of sitting at home and playing on the computer the whole time. Sure, it's more entertaining. Sure, it's more exciting, but it's not creative, and it's not the same way of making your own entertainment and going out and making friends.
Oh boy, do I like number one. So I didn't know that was played. That's played by Rebecca Romaine, is it? Rebecca Romaine? Oh boy, I like number one. Before I said, who's this playing Jane? Why can't we have women that look like women? I retract and detract that comment.
For this one.
Oh boy,
Yep.
Rebecca. Meow.
Nice
Now-
effect of the Wrath of Khan uniform.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, 25% different with the shoulder pads and
yeah.
arms.
Yeah, with the cross on his right shoulder showing Admiral.
Hmm. Okay, I wasn't aware
So
of that.
clearly this is the future Pike who's
Yep.
telling the past Pike, no, you should have got melted and burned by radiation.
Not even one
was not-
season in, and we're already playing the time travel card.
Yeah.
Jesus HC on a cracker. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I mean,
The time traveling I thought was always weaker parts of Trek and wasn't as good.
it is weak. The time travel stuff is weak, no doubt about it. What a beautiful rendition of the Enterprise. I love all the exterior shots of the ships. I really like how they've echoed the shape of the Enterprise. It's sleek, it's angular. I think, in my opinion, they've got this correct. And they seem to understand in the title sequence that she, being the Enterprise, is our main character.
It is. She is a character, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Much better than JJ Jerk's Entered Prize.
Yes. Yeah.
Far better.
I think they've hit this one out of the park with the exterior shots.
It's better. It's better.
Yeah.
At 25% different.
Yeah.
Here's our
Moving
time
on,
crystal.
we have the time crystals. Oh gosh, so I'm just going to leave this at talentless hacks.
Yeah, you know, you need a device to travel through time. How do you have a crystal that does it? Really?
Yeah. Well, crystals can do anything. They can
Oh
heal.
boy.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather ridiculous. Yeah, by the way, crystals can't heal you.
No.
Crystals don't give you special energy.
No.
No, that's not how they work. It's just matter in very highly organized, repetitive formulae. That's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing special. All right. So we have
Disoriented Captain Pike. So he has now traveled forward in time, roughly, I don't know, 7 years, something
7
like
years.
that. He's still commander of the Enterprise, and he hasn't suffered the horrific effects of the reactor accident that cripple him.
Yeah. 6 months earlier, which it should have been.
Right.
At 6.5 years.
Yeah.
So now he's 7 years later.
Now he's 7 years in?
Yes.
Okay. He isn't exactly filling me with confidence in his ability to adapt to a situation here. You know, I get that the original series had humor, but it was done at the end of a serious episode. It wasn't done during an episode. There are very few tonally humorous original series shows, except for the shows like maybe Mud's Women or something like that. It was rarely done.
Piece of the action.
Sure. Yeah. Here they're trying to insert humor through very serious subject matter. And, you know, it's modern, breaking the tension with humor, but it doesn't really work. This kind of fish out of water type of effect
Yeah.
and disoriented effect they're going for here. It doesn't work for me with a captain. To me, a captain should be able to adapt and overcome any
Mhm.
situation they're placed into, and quickly. Otherwise, they shouldn't be captains.
That's right. Choose one emotional tone and stick to it.
Yeah.
A captain should be basically a genius level intellect. Like they
Yes.
said in the original series, they're not one in a million men who can do what we do.
Yeah.
Command a starship.
I noticed that the Enterprise bridge is filled mostly with women. So if we look behind Kirk,
Mhm.
there's a woman, a woman, a woman, a woman, a woman, and we know Uhura is a woman, and there is only Kirk and Spock. Not Kirk, pardon me, Pike and Spock on the bridge as men. Just thought I'd point that out.
Mhm. So going the opposite way from
oh,
what
yes?
was done before is not the way that you make social justice, if that's what you think it is.
Yeah.
If it's supposed to be equal representation, then there's supposed to be equal numbers of men and women on the bridge.
Well, I don't know
Not a
about
bridge
that.
full of whammon.
I don't know about that. I think that's equality of outcome, and I don't think that's what we're going for. We're not going for equality of outcome. We're going for equal opportunity. So maybe these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 women on the bridge are the best for the job, in which case that's fine. But they should exhibit those qualities if that's the case. Wow. Oh, the externals, the beautiful shots, the space shots are fantastic. Anything to say about this?
They're okay.
Go on, tell me why.
They're okay. I wouldn't say that they're bad. I would say they're quite okay. I'm okay with this. I'd like to see the original Enterprise, but it has to be 25% different. This is much better than JJ Jerk's garbage.
Oh yeah, it's better than the Discovery, which was a pizza cutter.
Oh God,
this is beautiful.
Don't even start me on that.
I like the metal. I mean, they could have painted it, but they don't need to paint it.
The neck's a bit short.
Okay, yeah,
but that's okay.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it. I think it's a kind of a cross between the original series and then what we started to get in the motion pictures, like 1 to 3. I'm particularly
rather compact and a very large secondary hull, but that's okay.
Look, there she's the hero of the show, in my opinion. The Enterprise is the hero of the show.
Yeah, for me, the most beautiful iteration of the Enterprise was Motion Picture Enterprise.
Yeah. Now, did Pike just call Lieutenant Uhura by her first name?
Probably, which is not what you should be doing. He should be saying either Lieutenant or he should be saying Mr. Uhura, which is her last name.
Yeah. So, why doesn't he just open a couple of beers, have casual Fridays? Military decorum. Military decorum is vitally important. It seems like there's a culture of insubordination aboard this bridge. Roddenberry was a military man. And it shows in the way people carry themselves in the shows that he was involved in. And this, I'm sorry, it's
especially the smirking navigator here, who was the helmsman before, but 7 years later, apparently she's the navigator.
Right.
The shaved hair.
Well, honestly, that's more of a military haircut than you've got in the in the helmsman. So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't quite mind a short-haired military female.
A little bit of virtue signaling, I'd say.
Probably.
Over the ear shaved. That's what it is.
Probably.
That's fine enough. That's fine enough. What I don't like about this character is her smirking smarminess.
Yeah.
Constant back talk.
Yep.
Which is not at all.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Professional.
We'll get into it.
And of course, not that she's the only one guilty of it, but a tiny woman able to easily beat up a man 3/4 her size in excess.
Oh, well, look, I haven't watched the show. This is my first episode. So if you say that, then I'm with you.
75% heavier than her, let's say, is what I was trying to get out. Yeah.
Anyway, it's almost like everything is so large. It's almost like they've recycled the set from a failed Star Trek show and redressed it. Excuse me, sorry. Something caught my throat there. Sure, it's a bridge, but it's not the Enterprise bridge. I mean, the interiors on the whole show are just too big. It's supposed to be like a submarine in space. But, maybe it's like the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside than the outside. Who knows?
Apparently so, eh?
Yeah. Okay. Now Pike strikes me as far too emotive for a leader. He's just been told something that stresses him way the heck out. And Kirk, if you look at the original series, he never displays such emotion, especially on the bridge in front of his other officers or subordinates. He is always calm and cool under fire. But Pike seems stressed by so many different things. Is it human? Sure. Does it mean that he's a good leader? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Another
Totally
beautiful
agree with
external shot there of the bird of prey firing its plasma weapon. This is when they're firing it on Outpost 4, Earth Outpost 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really like what they did with the new bird of prey, the new Romulan plasma weapon. Much better. Very nice.
Okay.
I like the new effects.
Now, in the original series, the Enterprise was in transit during the attack on Earth Outpost 4, which is why they're out of range and needed to get a feed from the outpost. But now they've arrived to see Outpost 4 get destroyed, and they are there before the bird of prey fires its weapon. So to me,
and they seem to be sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lazy, avoidable plot hole. The Enterprise doesn't need to be in the foreground. Is it beautiful? Yes, but it doesn't need to be there. Now, this dude shows up. Who the heck is this? I mean, bro, do you even lift?
Please.
He's so skinny.
That's exactly what I'm going to say. That is not at all Kirk.
Come on, man. You need alpha males in charge. I'm sorry if you don't like alpha males, but alpha males exist. And if you don't like it, that's tough.
Yeah, this is not an alpha. He's small. He's weak. That is not Kirk.
Yeah.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
That is really, really bad. You might have chosen someone whose face can look more like Shatner's. Maybe you're going for a type. Okay, the face is good enough, but everything below the face, no.
You can't tell me out of all the people who showed up for the casting call that this was the best you got. Vince Mignogna. Vince Mignogna.
Much better.
Right? Much better Kirk.
Yeah,
Jeez.
much better Kirk.
But he did play a very 1960s Kirk, didn't he, Vince?
Yeah.
So then
honestly, I mean, Nimoy was a genius at Spock. Shatner was a genius to play it the way he played Kirk. If you try to replace them, you have an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to replace them.
Yeah.
It's not so much that you can't please everyone.
Right.
It's that you're going to have a very hard time finding someone as good as they were at that time. Yeah.
I do, man, the plot holes and the lore breaking decisions really bother me. I mean, so really apparently they pushed Warp 9 in the Farragut, which is a Constitution class ship, but the Farragut isn't a Constitution class ship in this episode. Is it?
It's supposed to be. It was supposed to be a Constitution class ship, I'm pretty sure. And in this episode, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
Look behind him, above his right shoulder.
Yeah,
that's not a Constitution. That's not the outline of a Constitution ship.
No. So apparently they pushed Warp 9 in an original series Constitution class starship. Maximum sustainable warp for the original series Constitution class ship is warp.
Oh, they could do it at Warp 9. They've done it in a few episodes in the original episode, in the original series. But this Farragut, I doubt it. This Kirk, they wrote him well, more or less. He wasn't acted well. Okay. I like how they wrote him. I like the contrast between his way of tackling problems versus Pike's. They've chosen to highlight that to make him an actual hero so far.
Back to the episode. So it seems that Pike is afraid of being declared expendable. Well, if we attack, we are going to be declared expendable. Well, it doesn't seem like something a captain would consider. Kirk says plotting an intercept course would be a declaration of war. Well, to my mind, war has been declared. They've already destroyed 2 outposts. They've just witnessed them destroy the 3rd outpost, and they're on your side of the neutral zone. The Romulans have broken the treaty. War has been declared. In the original series episode, Balance of Terror, they made it clear that it was Starfleet's position that preserving the treaty was priority one. There's no such declaration in this episode. So, you know, apparently
Kirk
now we're
still-
waiting to hear back from Starfleet. This was not
Yeah.
a plot point in the original series.
Yeah, but Kirk still in this series says, let's shadow them, and they may think we're a sensor reflection,
Yes.
which is what he did in the original series,
Yeah.
which is good. And of course, it comes from the original series. There's no way the writing team would have come up with anything that good.
Yeah, that's neither here nor there. We don't have proof, but I tend to lean on the same side as you on that one. And then we get a reflection of the Romulan transmission off of the tail of a nearby comet. And we're able to decode it, and we see the Romulans revealed for the first time. My first impression was not intimidation by any stretch of the imagination. You know, when you look at the original series, Mark Leonard revealed. Mark Leonard, there's something about how exotic he looks. He was, his dad was Russian Jewish, right? And he was very exotic looking. He looked Native American, quite frankly, the original. But this looks like an office worker. And the lobotomy haircut does not do him any favors. So the Romulans, it should be a widow's peak in my experience, should it not?
I'm not sure.
I thought the
The
widow's
haircut could be a bit lower,
yeah.
but his head is way too big for his body.
Mm.
This is a guy that I'm going to laugh at.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a mind that you should respect. Well, you know what? He's a lot more respectable if he's got a larger body like Mark Leonard
Yeah. Right.
did in the original.
Yeah. He's a big
If
boy.
you have to do that up with a little bit of
Padding.
costuming, okay. But this guy looks like a twerp.
Yeah.
I don't respect him at all just looking at him.
Yeah. So
Clearly not.
going back to the previously mentioned comet, Kirk and Pike come up with a plan. They will fly line abreast and wait until they detect the trail of, or be able to see, I guess, the cloaked Romulan ship. So the Enterprise and the Farragut are flying line abreast, allowing one ship to cover the other. And the Romulans outsmart Kirk and Pike, and they decloak behind Kirk's vessel.
Another plot point taken from the original series.
Yeah. Yeah.
The writing team couldn't come up with that one.
No. Unlikely. He reacts aggressively. Kirk reacts aggressively with a predetermined attack pattern, and he refers to it as Tiberius 4. For those of you who aren't aware, Tiberius is Kirk's middle name, or is Kirk's middle name. Yeah, James T. Kirk. Yep. The T is for Tiberius. So first he dives with a 1/8 roll to starboard, then he pitches up into a half barrel roll so he can bring his weapons to bear, and he starts firing. Quite frankly, I think that's a pretty good maneuver. But when we're talking about advanced predictive targeting systems on, leading your target is not going to be a difficult thing for even a current day computer.
Well, yes and no, because these ships are supposed to have firing in all of their arcs.
Yeah.
So if the Romulan appears behind him, aft torpedo, aft phasers.
Yeah.
While you are doing your maneuver. Let loose a couple of torpedoes, and while the aft bays are reloading, spin yourself around to bring the forward tubes to bear.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
Yeah, I like how the Romulans did use the comet for entrapment.
During these maneuvers, I really questioned the cinematography, because we see the exterior of the ship perform the maneuver, and then we jump to the inside of Kirk's ship, and they invert the inside of Kirk's ship on camera. But, I can hear Akiva Goldsman in the Secret Hideout meeting room right now. Top Gun Maverick is doing really well. They go upside down. If we go upside down, we'll do really well. I don't know what Akiva sounds like, but that's what I think he sounds like.
I think he sounds more like someone with mental issues.
Anyway, there's probably a staffer that actually likes Star Trek who says, well, sir, inertial dampeners and artificial gravity will compensate for this during maneuvers. And Akiva yells, Top Gun Maverick. Anyway,
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah. After getting off a few shots, oh, Kirk's ship gets hit by the Romulan plasma weapon. And it would have been great if his attack had worked, but he has a wingman, and a simple and effective dragon bag would probably have worked. And so what that means is the Romulan wasn't firing on Kirk when it initially decloaked. All Kirk would have to do is turn to port, which is to the left, towards the Enterprise, set up a flight path in front of the Enterprise so that he would drag the Romulan who's pursuing the Farragut in front of the Enterprise. It's called a dragon bag, and it's worked since World War One. Right? It's basic tactical maneuvering. Don't tell me that genius Kirk, a tactical genius, didn't do that. What I see going on here is a subtext. I see a subtext here that brash young men who play by their own rules lose. So fall in line and do as you're told.
Which is exactly what they tried to pull with Kirk in the second J.J. Jerk movie.
Yep. Yep. It's the patriarchy. No, the patriarchy. Don't be part of the patriarchy. Again, the external shots are beautiful. Back to my previous point. So the camera is inverted, and when the people fall from the helm and navigation stations, they fall upwards onto the ground. Crying out loud. How can you watch this and not realize how absolutely wrong it is? It's nonsensical. Just the gravity works in the correct orientation. The camera should be in the correct orientation. Oh my gosh, those visuals though. Oh, how good are those?
That is good.
Visuals, right? Chris,
that's really good.
Stunning.
Yeah, 25% different bird of prey, fine.
Sure.
25% different plasma device, fine. In this case, it works.
Yep.
Yeah, electricity between the plasma ball and the ship. That's not how plasma works, but what the hell?
Yeah, because plasma is superheated gas, right?
That's what it is. Yeah. Fine. You want to show that? Go. Yeah. What the hell?
Well, look, it's supposed to be.
I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be what, 300-400 years in the future.
I'm not going to be fussed.
Exactly.
Plasma simply should, if it's just superheated gas, then it simply will not have the same bang for your buck as a photon torpedo will. Yeah. A photon torpedo is a magnetic bottle enclosing antimatter.
Yeah.
When matter and antimatter come together, that is the biggest bang for your buck you can get. You get 100% conversion to energy. So these so-called quantum torpedoes, unless they happen to open a portal to subspace, I don't see how you're supposed to get a bigger bang for your buck. Quantum torpedoes, the name suggests, no, not nearly as strong as a photon torpedo.
Oh, but it sounds stronger. There's 4 of them.
Quantum? Nope.
Quanto.
Quantum is, yeah.
Tell me quando.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise gets hit, but not critically.
Glancingly, yeah.
Yep. In the tell don't show vein, Spock says they were shooting at a distance. Perhaps their plasma weapon is less effective when fired long range. It didn't look long range to me. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the original series had a lot more of a slow-paced drama, suspense building as they backed away from the plasma ball at warp, which
line of stern, warp speed. Yep.
Which really wouldn't work for the plasma ball.
Yeah, they can't travel faster than light.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a problem with the original series. It wasn't always the most accurate, but hey, maybe he meant warp power.
Yeah, who knows?
From the warp engines to reverse thrusters anyway.
Yeah. So following on from this, in Pike's inimitable command style, he decides to leave the bridge during battle for a soap opera moment. I don't know who this is, but I like that we can have women who look like women.
Oh, this is the granddaughter of Khan Singh.
Oh, well, her genes show it. That's for sure. Meow.
And apparently Spock entirely forgets to mention her when he meets her grandfather.
Right.
Which he should have met, which he should be meeting at this time period in just a couple of months.
Right. So you're talking about canon breaking in current Star Trek based on
That's
original
right.
Star Trek? Oh,
Yep.
who
that's
would do
right.
such a terrible thing? Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. It breaks the original canon.
Okay,
You
again.
want to break the canon for a modern day show, you're showing that you don't respect the original. And that's the problem that my generation has with it. Don't go breaking what's happening in the original.
Well, I mean, talking about breaking canon, you look at how Kirk talks to Pike here. Captain Pike, we need to talk now. I mean, go look at Shatner's Kirk. He's the master. Shatner is the master of Captain Kirk. Military decorum at all times. Stern behavior when required. All due respect always, unless called to a space station to protect grain. That's the only time he's not respectful. And even then he's got military decorum in his speech, in his cadence. This Kirk goes to criticize and deride Pike for flinching and deliberating, and then he backpedals and said, no, I'm just trying to show you that this is what's actually going on. You know what I mean? This is not Kirk. It's not by a long shot. And the shaky cam during their ready room conversation, it's just another bad cinematographic decision.
That's right.
Shaky cam is just distracting. So Spock apparently scanned the bird of prey before it cloaked and says that they are trailing trilithium fragments. I thought the Romulans powered their ships with a singularity.
They do. I think that what they did was decide that trilithium is part of the plasma weapon.
Oh, okay. That would make more sense then.
Yeah, but which doesn't seem to make sense because in the movie Generations, when they introduced trilithium, it could stop all the nuclear synthesis inside a star. How would it do that? Well, it would have to be a lot worse than iron. And stars can synthesize up to iron,
right?
And then it takes more energy
because they're too heavy
than it would to synthesize any heavier element.
Right.
So the fusion breaks down, and you get your nova, your supernova with the core collapse. So is that what they're trying to pull with a plasma weapon? Okay, if that's what you want to say, that you're going to have a mini fusion star that you core collapse when it hits the target, I could live with that. Sure, why not?
Yeah,
not bad.
Okay.
Wow, looks like the story group did one thing good.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you cleared that up. So Pike orders Uhura to open a channel to the Romulan ship. She questions his order. So is this typical of the future military? I don't know. I don't think it would last very long as an organization if it is typical. Get a military advisor and find out how the military actually works, for crying out loud. I mean, even Kirk in the same scene, just moments later, says, "What are you doing?" It's the same thing.
Yep.
Same point, same advice. You know what? Is this typical of the future military? It won't last very long if it is. Get a military advisor. Don't create a culture of insubordination.
Yeah.
So they hail the Romulans.
Off my bridge.
Yeah, that's it.
Get off my bridge, Lieutenant.
That's it. Even if you look at the original series, right, with Mr. Styles, Mr. Styles is being racist towards Spock. He suspects Spock because he looks like the Romulans. And Kirk turns his chair. He turns his chair to make him look at Kirk. And he says, "There's no place for that bigotry. You leave that in your quarters. There's no place for it on the bridge." She finally decides to open the channel after he has to ask her a second time to do it. They hail the Romulans and have a chat, and Pike offers an olive branch, a ceasefire, to allow time for repairs and for funeral services to bury our dead. And the Romulan commander agrees to a 2-hour ceasefire. All right, Pike's navigator tries to convince him not to trust the Romulans. He tells her to stand down. And of course, because there's a culture of insubordination, she doesn't stand down. And he finally yells at her to stand down. And this is what happens when you promote this kind of culture.
That's right.
It wasn't, if you look at Mr. Styles again, in the original series, he had similar objections. And he was very military in his response when told to behave in a certain way by Kirk. He complied in a very military way. He let Kirk know he disagreed, but he complied.
And he pointed out that we could have spies aboard our ship.
That's what he did.
Kirk agreed.
Yeah, that's what he did. There's some nice character
Um,
development of the
yeah.
Romulan commander here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of insubordination on his crew as well.
Yeah.
Which is not as bad because it's not nearly as bad as what's going on aboard Enterprise.
Yeah.
The Centurion or whoever he is,
sub-commander.
Insubordination. Oh, that's right. Second in command, sub-commander. Whoever they got to play him looks like he was a homeless man from off the street or something.
What, you talking about his patchy beard?
I don't. His whole face. This is not a scary guy at all. What effect are they trying to go for here? To look like an 8-year-old? Because that's what this person looks like. Has he ever lifted a weight in his life?
Yeah, looks trendy. Looks like a hipster. Where's this man bun?
Yeah, the hipster, the hipster Romulan.
Nice beard.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Sorry to
doing?
Criticize somebody for their appearance, but this is television.
But hey, it's Hollywood. Come on.
Yeah.
People are supposed to look good. That's why we tune in.
Yeah. So the commander states he shares his mind with his sub-commander, which I don't really agree with. I don't think that's a wise decision with somebody he doesn't know if he can trust him. It's only his third mission, right? It's only the sub-commander's third mission, and the commander shares his mind in, the Romulan culture, which we know is full of subterfuge, full of backstabbing and two-facedness and double dealing, But the commander tells the sub-commander that he'll play the peace game, and if it doesn't work, then they'll attack. Oh, another beautiful external shot. I just love what they're doing. I know you're not as crazy about it, but I love it.
It'll do.
It's fantastic. So Kirk, he convinces Pike to let him go work on some backup plan, and that he's going to need a shuttle to do it. So here we see the shuttle leaving the Enterprise. And then the 2 hours are up, and the Enterprise, the phasers aren't prepared on the Enterprise, and Pike hails the Romulan commander, again suggesting that they do what they can to end this war. And the Romulan commander, to our surprise, agrees. That's not in keeping with what a Romulan would do. What do you think a Romulan would do?
That is in keeping with the original Mark Leonard Romulan commander.
Yeah, he was tired of war too and killing. Yeah. Okay.
Good enough.
Fair enough. The Romulan commander agrees. Let's try to end the war. But oh no! Romulan duplicity. Shoo, 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 shoo. And in warps the Romulan.
Apparently, the entire Romulan fleet.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2 hours. So this is the sub-commander who is secretly called the Romulan fleet. Subterfuge, as we expected. Romulan duplicity, as we expected. And the Romulan praetor hails the Enterprise and demands their surrender.
That will be the day.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, Pike doesn't. Yeah. Kirk shows up with a fleet of mining vessels, planning to bluff the Romulan fleet, because I guess the Romulans don't have sensors that can tell that these are unmanned drones that have no weapons capability other than mining drills, I suppose. And, it's a bluff, and it's a plot hole, and they don't notice it. Nobody notices it except for us, I suppose. And the praetor signals to somebody on her bridge, and the bird of prey that destroyed the Earth Outpost 4 is told to move off forward of the fleet, and he does. And Pike from the bridge of the Enterprise communicates with the commander, the Romulan commander, and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm doing my duty." And he echoes Mark Leonard's speech about them being both creatures of duty, and that in another life or another universe or timeline or something, that they could have been friends because they're very similar. And then the Romulan fleet destroys the ship. They destroy them as punishment for being discovered by the Federation. It's okay that they carried out the attacks, but not that they were discovered. Very Romulan, very Romulan. After a little bit more communication between Pike and the Romulan Praetor, she decides to attack. Now, of course, the navigator says the warp engines aren't responding because we must have some type of buildup in drama. So let's just say that randomly the warp engines aren't working. Kirk uses the drones to shield the Enterprise, piloting them remotely so that it can escape. Kirk then beams aboard the Enterprise, and warp power miraculously is restored, Deus ex machina style, and the Enterprise escapes the conflict. Pike goes to sick bay and discovers the bride-to-be at the beginning of the episode has died. This echoes the original series, though it was the groom who died there. And then he also discovers that Spock has been critically injured because he was down trying to fix the phasers. He wasn't on the bridge.
Okay.
Chapel briefs him on the details, and Pike discovers that the injuries are eerily similar to those that he himself would sustain in the reactor accident that basically, makes him wheelchair ridden and unable to speak, etc. Okay.
Well, we could always send Spock to Talos 4.
I guess we could, but future Pike reappears and tells current Pike that the war with the Romulans is still raging in his time, that the Klingon monks showed him that in every instance where Pike saves himself from the reactor accident, that Spock instead becomes disabled. And then he goes on to say that Spock is vital to the future of the galaxy. Anyway, so then, we're wrapping up the episode now. So we have a bunch of sentimental and bromance moments. We have a bromance moment here between Kirk and Pike. And then we have a bromance moment between Spock and Pike. And then Pike walks around the bridge looking at all his female officers in a very loving and kind, smiley way. And then another ship shows up and Plain Jane Captain rocks up to arrest number 1 for genetic crimes. So Una is being arrested. So don't commit crimes with your geneticals, people. Pike assaults a security officer, by the way, when they come to take number 1. Yeah, he puts him in an arm lock. It's an undefined arm lock that happens off camera. You just see him hold his hand in a certain way. And, I'd love to criticize it from a martial arts perspective, but there's you can't really see what's going on. And of course, he faces no consequences for it. Did we mention the culture of insubordination yet?
Yeah, but apparently number 1 faces it.
Yeah. Well, so look, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, there were some good callbacks in this episode, some of which I enjoyed. There were other things I didn't enjoy, but that's basically Trek these days. Is it Star Trek? Barely, if it is. Is it Drek? Maybe a little bit, but not nearly as bad as Discrappery or the films.
Anyway, final thoughts? I guess that's it.
I will go and I'll watch season 2 under some duress. It's been a long time since I've been very happy to watch Star Trek. The last time I had a fantastic Trek experience was In a Mirror Darkly, parts 1 and 2 of Enterprise. Yeah, those are well worth watching. In a Mirror Darkly, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, I've
4th
seen those.
season.
I like those.
All right, so take care until next time. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And we will see you again.
See you next time.
Okay, take care.
And you.